Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And we do full-length car reviews, and partway through we stop for a segment called Questions, Coffee, and Cars. You know that because you've already subscribed.
Of course.
And we've spun that off into its own thing. We're at number 134. How do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning I put a post out on Instagram asking for questions. Once we gather our questions, the post is deleted and we start the show.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
I've never owned a sporty vehicle before, but looking to get one in the next few years. Given the choice, should I opt for the top trim GTI and get it tuned to increase performance, or just bite the bullet and get the Golf R?
Just bite the bullet and get the Golf R.
And it's all-wheel drive
Like,
now.
the thing is, we have a GTI, but we didn't, and people think, why didn't you get the Golf R? It's because it's like our fifth car. It's just.
We don't need it. We don't need an all-wheel drive model.
No.
If we need all-wheel drive, we'll take another.
We're sitting in it.
Yeah, we'll take another vehicle. So for us, it was more about getting the manual transmission. And we like the look of the GTI, and it's kind of budget-friendly, really.
I would suggest that just get the R. The extra power is fantastic. The all-wheel drive is fantastic. It's got drift mode. I'm going to put a clip in here right now of me drifting in it, and Andrea was like, what the hell are you doing?
I think I was screaming. Holy, I could have crashed into the side.
I know what I'm doing.
Okay, that was good. I can't remember, but I think I was alarmed.
Andrea was alarmed. She thought I was going to hit something.
Yes, I really did. I really thought he was going to hit something. And the Golf R gets an increase of 13 horsepower and 15 pound-feet of torque. 341 horsepower and 325 pound-feet of torque for that model. The GTI performance model, I'll give you Canadian dollars, starts at 43.5, and the Golf R close to 51,000 Canadian. So if you've got the budget, Golf R.
Here's the interesting thing. I think we brought it up on another Questions, Coffee, and Cars, but it's worth repeating because I just love when this happens. The price is the same in Canadian dollars. If you're not aware, the Canuck buck, the Canadian dollars, anywhere from 25 to 30%, worth 25 to 30% less than the US dollar. So if it was a $40,000 top trim in Canada, it should be 25 or 30% more. And it's not. It's the same price. It's 40,000 Canadian, 40,000 US.
Yeah.
So we actually get a deal. So if you're in Canada and you're getting a Golf R, it's expensive, but you're getting a deal.
For sure. Which cars in the subcompact SUV segment have the most comfortable and smooth ride suspension according to you guys? While navigating through road cracks, I have observed that subcompact SUVs are harsh compared to some mid-size sedans.
I would say the Corolla Cross is pretty smooth.
Corolla Cross hybrid?
Yep.
Yeah,
Pretty
I think
smooth.
that the gas model gets kind of loud. Look, you didn't say non-luxury or luxury, so I'm going to throw one in for you in the
let me guess.
subcompact class.
Lincoln?
Well, Lincoln is good for that, but
Actually, that's
subcompact, they've
compact.
got the Corsair, and that's compact. I'm going to throw in the Volvo XC40. Not only does it have a great seating position, you sit up and over the dash, the cabin is extremely quiet, the ride's so smooth, and the suspension is softer.
Okay, non-luxury now. I would say you're right. Because of one of the reasons is, and you're probably not aware of this, is when cars, typically when you go up and down in size, one of the things that changes is the length of the wheelbase. And whenever you have a shorter wheelbase, you can get a little more choppy, and longer wheelbase vehicles, like luxury cars, have long wheelbases, really smooths things out. So I'm going to stand by my Corolla Cross Hybrid. I think it's probably pretty smooth.
It's pretty smooth. Or check out the Volvo. Hello, big fan. Thank you. You guys made my fiance care about cars too. He didn't even recognize car brands before, so it's a big compliment. Well,
Did you say
thank
he or she?
He didn't
Really?
recognize.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking between the Volvo EX30 and the Hyundai Inster. Don't know if it's going to be in North America, but we're moving to Ireland and thought you'd know about it after visiting Korea. Oh, can't tell you which one is better for us. We were both tall and have a big dog, but driving in Europe is tight. It's our first car, and we want something quiet with a good suspension.
I don't know what an Inster is.
Okay, so we don't know what the Inster is.
I guess you have, if you're an
I'm gonna Google it right now.
Instagram influencer, that might be your car of choice. Hey, listen, the EX30 has been a massive hit in the European market. If you're not aware, the EX30 for the North American market is imported from...
There's your Hyundai Inster.
That's kind of cute.
Kind of looks like the Venue.
Yeah, it does look
Doesn't
like the
it?
Venue. And boxy design. Okay,
at
here's
that.
pictures of it. Yeah, it's an EV.
Yeah, it's an EV. No, we didn't see any of this in Korea, but we did go with Kia.
But the other thing is, we weren't paying attention. We were busy.
Yeah, we were.
Andrea and I were shopping at the big underground mall
We were.
in Gangnam, which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
The EX30 has been a smash, and they have a plant that they're building in Europe.
Yeah.
And in Europe, I think it's the second. I read this on Automotive News recently. The EX30 has sold over 100,000 units already in
Amazing.
Europe, and is the second best-selling EV on the continent.
And you know why it's selling so well? Because it's priced just right, around 35,000 euros. And I think that's why people are drawn to it, because really it's cute as a button. The interior is kind of cool looking.
Yeah.
It's not big. It's not big. And yes, there is a lot of hard plastic, but look at that price point. I'm not going to complain about it because of that price.
In North America is a different story. But back to what you just brought up, which was a Korean car, and the fact we were in Korea to drive the EV3, and the EV3 is sold in Europe now and is priced very similarly to that Volvo, and it has a much nicer interior. And I would say if it was between, I don't really know this Hyundai car, unfortunately. I would say if it was between the Volvo and that new EV3, I'd go EV3. I just think the interior is so much nicer.
Yeah, and looking at pictures of the Inster, it looks smaller than the EX30, and the EV3 is larger than the EX30, which might be better for the dog.
Yeah, but also still compact enough to park. And you're in Ireland?
Ireland.
Oh, we should go visit, Andrea.
You know, I've never been to Ireland, and that's another place I would like to go, along with Australia and Portugal.
Put it on the list.
I got a lot on my bucket list. I recently read that GM's house infotainment system found in Cadillac XT5, XT6, CT4, and Chevy Blazer are rated #1, but the General is moving towards the Google-based system. How is that beneficial? They already have OnStar to work with subscriptions. Thoughts?
Okay, so we talked about this in the last one. So EVs from General Motors have the Google onboard system, and they don't have Apple and Android. And the other products from General Motors, the regular vehicles, have the infotainment system that still has Android and Apple. And I have been saying this for years, Andrea, and now the industry seems to be catching up to my philosophy on General Motors. Their infotainment systems are very easy to use. They're simply laid out. I always say from 18 to 80, you're going to be able to use them. And I think that's one of the strong points that they have. Even the EVs I found easy. And
you know, their interiors are a really good balance of having buttons and knobs and then other things being in the screen. They've really done an excellent job with all of that. A good balance. So I totally recommend it. Hey guys, I'm looking to buy a used 2010-2012 Ford Escape, and I'd love your thoughts on which option would be better for me. Should I go for the hybrid or non-hybrid? Also, would you recommend the V6 or 4-cylinder engine? I live in Winnipeg, so 4-wheel drive is a must. Are those years of Ford reliable? Also, do you guys plan on reviewing the new Tesla Model 3 Highland? Thanks in advance. You guys are my favorite auto YouTubers.
The only problem is, it doesn't matter what the car is, you're now talking about cars that are over 10 years old. And when you're talking about cars that are over 10 years old, you're not buying the car, you're buying the previous owner. The previous owner's commitment to maintenance, the previous owner's commitment to looking after the car, especially in a cold place like Manitoba, with corrosion and things that might be a consideration. So you could have a Ford Escape Hybrid that's immaculate condition and has been perfectly well looked after, or you could have one that's been bagged on for 10 years and you don't want anything to do with it. So it's really tough for us to say. That era of Ford was not as reliable as the current batch.
No.
So just consider whatever you're buying, you're going to have to get it inspected and checked. please.
I'm not sure I would go for it. I think that you can, I mean, I just don't know what your budget is. So I understand that maybe you want something that's a little less expensive. But if you could get something like a 2020, which I know will cost more.
That's a big jump, yeah.
It is a big jump. I just would stay away from that vehicle. It's old, it's a Ford. There were some reliability issues. As for the Tesla Model 3, we are working on that. We are working on getting one. So stay tuned for that. We're hoping that we do.
People always say, why don't you drive this Tesla? Why don't you drive that Tesla? I don't know if you're aware of this. Tesla does not have a PR department. We cannot send them an email and say, hey, when can we drive the Cybertruck? When can we drive the Model Y? That doesn't exist.
No.
So all of the reviews you see YouTubers do are borrowed typically from people who lend them the car.
That's right.
And it's not exactly the most fun thing to do is to borrow someone's personal car. We'd rather get it from the manufacturer. We're trying to get a workaround going.
We are.
So stay tuned.
We're hoping we get it. It would be great to drive that, the Model Y, and the Cybertruck. Still enjoying your content after all this time and appreciate your insight. It seems like the Toyota Camry and Honda Civic have really dialed it in for both of these cars in their respective classes. I'm sure you can see what's coming here. Given the relative closeness in top trim and prices, minus all the add-ons between the Civic Sport Touring Hatch and the Camry XSE, which would be your top pick as a daily driver, mostly in the city driving with the occasional road trip? We tend to drive our cars to the ground 12 plus years.
I would say Camry, based on the fact you're going to drive it into the ground. The Toyota Camry is I'm trying to remember what it was. It was the most reliable car made, something like that. It's like at the very, very top of reliability. So based on that and the fact that the Civic Hybrid is brand new, if you're going to buy it, keep it and hold it, that's the one I'd pick.
See, for me, I would pick the opposite. I really love that Civic Hybrid. I'm going to take my chances with it because it's big enough for me. That Civic is a big compact class sedan, and I don't know, I don't want to drive the Camry. I want to drive the Civic. It's fun. It's a good looking vehicle. It just feels more youthful to me. That's all.
All of that is true. I'm 100% on board with that. And if it was me and I was driving it and I don't care about buying and holding for 10 years, I'd get the Civic and I'd get the hatch and I'd get the blue one because I think it looks cool as hell. And we just love the Civic Hybrid. We thought it was fantastic.
Man,
but
what a great
couple of
powertrain.
things in the favor of the Camry. All-wheel drive, depending on where you live, is a factor. You've got a larger car with a longer wheelbase and a wider track. If you're going on long road trips, it'll be a nice car to drive on the highway. And the fact is it's proven to be bulletproof. And if you're going to keep it and drive it in the ground, it's the buy it and drive it in the ground part that I'm all on board with. But I'm with Andrea. If it was our car, it'd be the Civic.
I really like the Civic a lot. Love the show. Thank you. I've been seeing a lot of posts about a new Subaru Baja coming soon. Just how true are the rumors? I ask because I'm looking to get a mid-sized truck capable of towing a small RV. Right now I'm leaning towards the Ford Ranger, though the Jeep Gladiator is also an option. Any thoughts? We like the Ranger a lot. It handles well.
Well, this is all over the place.
Variety of powertrains to choose from. The thing about the Gladiator, I think it's really cool looking, but when you drive it, it tends to wander on the road, just like the Wrangler.
Because it's got a solid axle in the front. But the thing is, so you're talking about one that has like the most capability, which would be the Gladiator. And then you're talking about a Baja, which is a unibody like the Maverick. And then Ranger in the middle. You know what's funny, Andrea? I was picking up a Buick this morning.
Yeah.
And I was at the Buick Chevrolet Cadillac store, whatever. I was the GM dealer. And they had a pickup truck, what's the Colorado in the middle. And I looked at the price of it. It was $60,000 Canadian for a mid-sized truck. And I'm like, you just get a full-size truck. They've always got 10 grand on the hood of those things. Like you could just get a full-size truck. The mid-sized truck thing has kind of gotten out of hand with the pricing of them. So you have to decide what you want. You want like a unibody design like a Maverick, a mid-sized truck, or the Gladiator, which is the most capable of those.
Yeah, for me, no, Gladiator isn't for me. But I think the Ranger is great. The Colorado is an excellent choice. Those are the ones I would definitely look towards. The thing is, Zach, not everybody wants to drive a full-size pickup. I am really attracted
To me?
to, yeah, of course.
Is it my leather jacket?
Yes, for sure.
I thought
and
so.
we didn't plan this, by the way. We're
Nope.
both wearing leather jackets. The mid-size segment. I just am. I don't want to drive a full-size pickup truck.
I'm totally with you, Andrew. I used to own a Tacoma. I love the Maverick. I think it's fantastic. I love that size of vehicle. But when you start getting it pimped out the way you want it just makes no sense. Like you just get a full-size truck.
I really like Tacoma as well, but boy,
That
that's
thing's
so
spendy.
expensive.
Yeah.
And the previous model, I would say to you, buy a used one, buy the previous model, but I can't say that because the seats are so uncomfortable and the transmission in that model, thumbs down.
Did they say Ranger?
Ranger.
I like the new Ranger.
Same.
I like the new Ranger a lot.
Oh, as for the Baja, Subaru doesn't talk about future models with us. So, I mean, we even asked, is an Outback hybrid coming? And they wouldn't say, but they said a Crosstrek hybrid's coming. So I think that maybe we can clearly see that the Maverick is a massive hit, and now with the all-wheel drive option. So yeah, it would be kind of cool to see Subaru come out with a Baja. And I wonder if Toyota is going to come out with a smaller SUV, and maybe it's going to be a pure EV. We saw it at the Japanese Mobility Show, so you never know. Love your show, been on a few times now. Got a quick question about trading in our Subaru Forester. It's a 2016 with 216,000 kilometers, and my wife is now commuting, and we're thinking about trading for a Crosstrek. We were looking at a 2018 to 2021. Is it worth the extra, or should we just go with the Impreza hatchback? Are there any other all-wheel drive SUVs or hatchbacks that we should consider in that age group? Keep up the banter. Thanks for your time.
Well, you are smart. This is a smart person here, Andrea, because you know a lot of people don't believe it. They just don't believe it that the Crosstrek and the Impreza are actually the same car.
Yeah.
One, they put cladding on it and they lift it up. But a lot of people, we've even talked to the dealer about this. They come in and they say, well, honey, we're got to get the Crosstrek because it's bigger. And then the dealer says, it's actually exactly the same. They're like, no, it's not a chance.
Nope.
The Crosstrek is, look at it. It's so much bigger than the Impreza. And it's exactly the same size car on the inside.
I know.
So if you can get an Impreza for cheaper, not a bad way to go.
That's what I would do. I would go Impreza. We recently drove the new model, and it's fantastic. It doesn't have all of the cladding, and it's not all jacked up like the Crosstrek, but boy, does it ever handle well. I was so impressed with that model. You got to watch our review on that. It's a very good price as well.
One thing, if you're going to buy a Crosstrek or the Impreza, do yourself a favor and get the 2.5 liter engine. Don't get the 2 liter, get the 2.5 liter. You'll thank us later. You'll write to Andrea on Instagram and go, Andrea, thank you for steering us towards the 2.5 liter. You will not be disappointed. But you are so clever. That's well done.
And also the Crosstrek is also excellent. It gets great ground clearance if you're more interested in that. We're not going to say anything bad about the Crosstrek because we like that model as well. So it's really what you like. You know, they handle
differently.
Yeah, they handle differently, but the interior is the same. So I think it's really what you like. Do you like more of a car feel or a crossover feel?
The only thing is, it's the sales are about 5 to 1, I think, for Crosstrek over the Impreza. So there's going to be more Crosstreks in the market as a used car, and you're looking at used.
Yeah.
So just buy the one you can get the best deal with the best mileage on it and all that kind of stuff. But I think the Impreza will be cheaper because people just really believe it's a different car, and it's not.
And also people are more interested in SUVs, so I think the Crosstrek will probably maybe hold its value a little more just because of the whole SUV craze compared to the Impreza. So yes, you might get a better deal on the Impreza. Just get it checked out. Make sure that it's okay. Make sure that it was taken care of so that you can continue to drive it and you will have a long life with your Impreza.
You know what you do? You sit there at the next dinner party and you bring up, hey, do you know that the Impreza and the Crosstrek are actually the same car?
Yeah.
And the people will go, not a chance. That Crosstrek is totally bigger. No, it's not.
And the dealership told us that. Like, people come in, he's like, no, it's the same. They can't even believe it. You're lying. You're lying to get a sale. And that's just not the case. They're exactly the same.
I'm not lying, Andrea. We're all out of time.
Okay.
How do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out on Instagram asking for questions. That post is only up for a short time until we gather all of our questions. Post is deleted and we start the show. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. See you then.